What's up YouTube? How's it going? So a question I get asked a lot is, what are the living costs in Japan? So today I'm going to talk about that, but I think there's two things that really determine what your living costs are going to be. So first is where you live. Are you living in the countryside or the city? Second is your lifestyle. So for today's video, I'm going to give you some context about me. I live in rural Japan and I live a pretty minimalistic lifestyle. I don't buy a lot of things, but I do enjoy going out to the city every now and then and going to some clubs. So I will include some of those costs in this video. So to make things simple, I'm going to say 100 yen equals about $1, and I'm going to break the video into 4 categories: general expenses, food, transportation, and miscellaneous things. First category, general expenses. So I'll start with the most expensive and try to work my way down. Most expensive should be your rent. So I live in the countryside and I have about a 55 square meter apartment, and that's about 500 square feet. So for an apartment like that where I live, it costs about $270 a month. But if you know, a lot of Japanese companies will help you pay for some of that. So I actually only pay $150 every month. Next, electricity. Electricity is a little expensive, $55 a month every month. It stays the same no matter if it's winter or summer. One thing that you might have is gas. I don't have gas, I just have electricity, so I can't really say how much gas is. I can't really say if it's cheaper to have gas and electricity, but I notice a lot of the apartments in the city tend to have both. I can't really tell you about cost, but I can just tell you that if you have gas and electricity, you're just going to have to worry about the hassle of paying for 2 bills instead of just one. Next utility is going to be internet. If you live in the city, you might be able to get it depending on the building for cheaper, but here, a lot of the buildings don't have shared lines, so you have to buy it individually. It can get more expensive. I have NTT, and it's about $55 every month. Next is cell phone. So I'm going to say this is kind of pretty necessary. Most people have a cell phone, so it's going to be included in general expenses. My cell phone bill is about $45 a month. That's not including the cell phone. If you buy your cell phone outright, it'll be about $45 a month. But if you decide to put the costs into the contract, it's going to be, depending on the phone, anywhere from $70 to $90 a month. So I bought the new iPhone 7 last year, and my cell phone bill, if I didn't buy it outright, was going to be about $90 a month. So I decided I had the money, I'm going to pay for it now. I have AU, and it's one of the cheaper of the bigger cell phone service providers in Japan. You can find cheaper, but you might not have as good as customer service providing support in English. So that's one advantage of having one of the bigger companies, even though they're a little bit more expensive. Next general cost, water and sewage. So you probably get this every 2 months, so don't worry if you're not getting it every month. I think most places in Japan do it on a 2-month basis. For me, it's about $25 a month or $50 a bill. So rent, electricity, internet, cell phone, and water is going to be your general expenses. Next category, food. So this is going to be determined by where you live and your lifestyle, because in the countryside, food is pretty expensive. But where in the cities or the suburbs, you can get food for a little bit cheaper if you go to the bigger places. And for my lifestyle, I try to eat about 4,000 calories every single day. So my grocery bill is about $225 a month. And now it's hard to give you an exact number because some of the stuff I buy this month, I might use next month. So I'm going to recommend not shopping at your local supermarket. Don't make the mistake I made for about 2 months. Your local supermarket is going to be a lot more expensive than if you were to shop at, say, one of the largest stores. Even if you have to drive 40 minutes to an hour, it's going to be worth shopping there if you can buy about 2 to 3 weeks or more of your stuff there. Next category, transportation. So if you're living in the countryside, you're probably going to need a car. So in my situation, public buses only run on the weekdays and they don't run on holidays. And the nearest train station is a 40-minute walk for me. It's actually not even in my town. If you don't have a car, you're going to have to buy a car. So the price of the car is really going to depend on what you can find and your budget. So before I came to Japan, my coworker contacted me and asked me about sharing a car, and I was like, yes. So after about having a car for a year, I figured it out to be about $100 a month just in miscellaneous fees, splitting everything in half. Last category, the more fun kind of category, miscellaneous expenses. So for me, I like to go to some of the bigger cities: Osaka, Tokyo, Nagoya. Tokyo, about 4 hours public transportation for me, $40. Nagoya, 2 hours, $20. Osaka, 7 hours, about $70. So as far as buses go, I'm going to say about $10 every hour of travel is a pretty reasonable price to expect to pay. if you go to bars and whatnot, so if you're going to go out, maybe to a bar, club, there are cheaper places in the main areas where you're probably going to be and spending your time. You're going to expect to pay about the same prices you'd probably pay back at home. You know, maybe there's an entrance fee anywhere from $10 to $30, drinks anywhere from $5 to $10. But that being said, you can buy beer pretty cheap in a convenience store, which is a lot of time what me and my friends will do. One thing that I was very surprised and kind of disappointed is that I always heard that eating out in Japan is really cheap. You can buy like a nice cheap meal for $4, $5, but I really haven't found that out to be true. I'm going to say if you buy like a normal set meal, it's going to cost you anywhere from $8 to $10 or more. Maybe some people think $8 is pretty cheap for a set meal, but you know, that's still not the $4 or $5 that you always hear about on the internet. It's not that there aren't places where you can't buy a decent size like dish for $4 or $5, but I don't think you're going to often be eating out at those places because you're going to try different things, and I'm going to say expect to pay at least $10 per meal in Japan. Another thing is if you live in a cold area, you're probably going to have a kerosene heater. So you might want to run this anywhere from December to March, depending on your tolerance. I personally don't like kerosene heaters, so I don't use it at all, so I can't give you an exact price, but that is another cost that you're going to have to think about. One of my favorite things to pay is the gym. In the city, you're going to be paying anywhere from $70 to $100 a month for some of the bigger gyms. In rural Japan, if you're lucky to have a gym, expect at least $50. Now, $50, that's pretty expensive considering if you're from the US where you can get a gym membership for $10, at most $30 for some of the bigger places. $50 is a lot of money, but it's definitely well worth it. Alright, so that is living costs in Japan. I hope you found that helpful. Please leave a comment below if you have any questions. See you later.